everybody, my name is Nozibele Kamganamayaba. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. As per the title of this video, I wanted to do a topic pertaining to HIV and insurance. Okay, so if you've been following me for quite some time, you would know that I have not had the best experience when it comes to insurance. And to be fair, I don't want to put the blame solely on my insurer, because there has been instances where I have withheld information from my insurer, information that I knew is going to impact my portfolio and to what extent I'm being covered. Okay, you would remember a story that I shared back in 2014 when I bought my mom a house, and I would say I didn't have adequate information, but also I had intentionally shied away from doing more research or asking people, because I was afraid that, if I ask someone, do people with HIV get covered, then someone is going to ask, is going to be suspicious, am I talking about me? And back then, obviously, I was not, ready to disclose. So I was under the impression, no, people that are living with HIV do not get insured, or if they do get insured, then it's very expensive. Okay, so 2014, decided to buy my mom a house, and now you have an option. One, it's either you take a life cover with a different insurer, and you take that cover and you put it against your bond, so that if anything had to happen to you, a portion of that life cover, let's say you are covered for 2 million and your house is 500,000, okay, and your outstanding amount at the time of your death is, let's say, 400,000. So 400,000 will be taken from your life cover, put it against your bond, so that your family, can still stay in the house if you want to leave the house to your family, and everything is being basically taken care of. Because in an event that you do not have that security, the bank will take that house back, okay, because it belongs to them up until a point where you have actually, paid it off. Or the bank will provide an option where they do have an insurance department, where if you buy a house, let's say for 550,000, they will cover you, or they cover the house rather, for 550,000. In an event that you pass away, they basically bakupa la mali, and then the house is covered in an event of your death. So at the time, I do not have a life cover. Okay, so the lady from the bank asks me, okay, now you need to have an insurance, you don't have a life cover, now we are going to give you an option from the bank side. Okay, so I'm like, oh, okay, no problem. So the standard procedure for e-insurances is that they ask you basic questions relating to your health. Do you exercise? Do you do extreme sports? Do you smoke? Do you drink? And also they ask you about pre-existing conditions, right? So at that point, when I was asked about pre-existing conditions, I did not disclose that I was HIV positive, right? And for some reason also, I was not asked to go and do a medical test, right? I guess again it's because it's through the bank and not like an independent, insurer. I don't know. But I was never asked to go and do like a medical test. I was just asked this information, over the telephone, and I was basically asked to sign it off that it is true. And I said it is true that I do not have a pre-existing condition. So when I received the contract, the contract now stipulates all the conditions in which I am covered for. The insurer is not going to cover me or the house in an event that I, commit suicide. Okay, it's also not going to cover or going to pay out in an event where it is found out that I had a pre-existing condition and I did not disclose. Okay, but they said that they're not going to cover for a period of 2 years. Now, in an event after 2 years, it is found out that I'm actually, HIV positive, or I had a pre-existing condition, they will basically waive, that condition, I guess. So for 2 years, I'm like, Lord, okay, you need to make sure that I do not pass away, nothing happens to me, because then that means, my mom is going to, be kicked out of the house. My family is going to be kicked out of the house. So everything went well. Obviously, I'm still alive. This was back in 2013. And then after 2 years I did not go to the bank and say to them, oh, by the way, there's information that I had withheld. I didn't. It was only 2019, yes, 2019, where I actually now 2019 2020, where I actually now called the bank and I told them that, listen, 2013 I was diagnosed with HIV. I've been living with HIV for X amount of years, and I need you to know because I want to find out how is it going to impact you know, my cover, particularly the insurance that is covering my house. So the insurer, and I was ready to challenge them according to like their contract that they gave me, that 2 years galop has lapsed, okay? Even though I understand that I had withheld this information, but according to your contract, after 2 years, you cover me. So after I disclose, they say, oh no, this is going to be evaluated at a claim stage, okay? So a claim stage is when I'm dead, right? So I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So we're busy chatting on email with this consultant, and I call them, no, I've spoken to my supervisor, I've spoken to my boss, blah, 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 blah. And they do agree that once again, they will evaluate at a claim stage. I'm like, no. Guys, it's either you're covering me or you're not covering me. Like, choose one, okay? So that I can make means to make sure I have a backup in a case where this is not working out. So I put them in a corner for them to have this in writing. And obviously at this point in time, I'm also lambasting them on social media, all right? So they come back to me and say, no, according to our records, you have been with us for X amount of years. After 2 years, you should be covered. So that is how I disclosed to the bank that I was HIV positive, and I actually knew when I was taking the cover for my mom's house that I was HIV positive, but I had intentionally withheld the information because I was scared that they're not going to cover me, right? But then it has not been a jolly ride with this particular bank that is covering my mom's house. Because the second incident that I had with them is most recent. So most recently, I did tell you about a situation where a portion of my mom's house caught fire, and obviously now I had to claim from the insurer. So before actually this happened, I had been receiving emails for about a month, and talking about some kind of insurance that was part of a bond that had lapsed. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I don't understand, because there's nothing I've not been paying. And according to me, everything that I pay to the bank is like one full amount. There is no amount for e-bond separately, and then another amount is debited for insurance. Like one amount is debited, and then obviously it's broken down, you know, by, okay, X amount of money is for e-bond, X amount of money is for management fee, and then X amount of money is for insurance. So I'm confused, but how can Gutwa, like, I've not been paying, and they say I've not been paying for a year. I've not been paying my insurance, and now it has lapsed, and I'm at risk of not being covered. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, you know what, this is confusing, and I know it for about a month, and then eventually my mom's house caught fire, and now I have to go to the insurance. So apparently, no, the building insurance is up to date, I don't have to worry, and then I process that. In that, I'm like, oh, by the way, can you explain this sort of insurance that is part of my cover? Because I've been receiving emails from you for the last couple of weeks telling me about some kind of insurance that has lapsed. And then the consultant is saying, no, yes, you owe about 2,000 Rand for this type of insurance. And I'm like, okay, can you explain what insurance is this? No, it's the insurance in an event of your death. That the bank may pay out the outstanding amount for the house, and I'm like, okay, how can I be like how can there be an amount that is outstanding when I've been paying every month? And then, no, sissy, according to our records, every year when now you pay X amount of money at the beginning of the year, and so you have not been paying that amount. I'm like, Booty, I have never paid a separate amount. Every year since 2014 when I took the bond, I pay every month like one whole amount, and it's basically distributed according to like what I'm covered for and the bond. So I've never paid an additional amount to you guys. And this guy is like, no, sister, according to the system, it is what it is. So unless you pay X amount of money, basically you're not covered. I'm like, hey, I Sana, like I don't know what is happening. So I delay that again, guys, and then because I'm trying to like honestly comprehend what the hell is going on, and then are they basically punishing me for disclosing that I was HIV positive like 2 years ago, and now they're trying for some odd reason some cover up or of some sort, and then okay. Eventually I'm like, okay, I need to deal with this because I can't let these things go by. And with COVID, if anything had to happen to me, I need to make sure that my family is going to be taken care of. So I go back to the bank. As I'm ready to pay, I think it was about 3,000 rand. Yeah, 3,000, I don't know, along those lines. It was about 3,000 rand that I needed to pay to make sure that I'm covered again. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm tired of fighting these guys. Like, I don't have the energy. Let me just pay this amount and just get it over it. So I'll go to the bank again. I'm like, hi, I just came to pay the insurance that has lapsed. I still don't understand how it has lapsed because I've been paying every month, but it is what it is. So as I'm about to pay, the consultant is like, oh, no, why are you paying? And I'm like, but you guys said I must pay. It's like, no, according to our system, like everything is normal. You have been paying. You've never missed anything. You've been paying. The monthly payments that is debited from your account covers your bond and your insurance. Now, why are you paying an additional amount? I'm like, lady, that is what I've been trying to tell you all this time. So what are you guys telling me now? No. And then upon investigation, she realizes that it had been an error from their side. I don't know what happened, whether they mixed clients, but basically now whatever happened, it seemed like my insurance or my life cover had lapsed because I have not been paying. But to cut the long story short, it was a system error from their side and they had rectified it. I did not need to pay an additional amount. Now all this time I'm thinking to myself, guys, can you are a bank that has been operating for many years. You're not just like Ibanga that just came just now, okay? You guys have been operating for so many years, and I'm expecting your systems to be at a certain level. So when these things happen, you're giving me anxiety that in a case where I pass away, you are going to do the very same thing to my family. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be there to fight this thing or anything like that. They're probably just going to take it as it is, that I'm not covered, I've not been paying and stuff like that. So can you just get your systems on, like, honestly right, okay? Because I cannot be dealing with this all the time. But I'll be very honest that even today, my biggest anxiety in life is for me to pass away and then my family has to deal with an insurer that does not want to pay out. That's like my biggest fear ever, okay? I've put systems into place, I have documentation, I have emails, I make sure that I copy everyone on these emails, on my will and stuff like that, but it still gives me that anxiety about, hey, insurers, when it comes, we all know this, even if it's a car insurance or anything like that, they always tend to delay or try to find some loophole when it comes to a payout. But again, it is what it is. I cannot control it. I can do so much from my side. So now years later, I have more information. I know for sure that people living with HIV can be covered. Life insurance, funeral cover. So I took the decision that no, I need a life cover. Yes, the properties are covered underneath the bank, underneath the bond, but I want an additional cover, a life cover that will basically be for my children, for my family, and so forth. The number one thing that I want to start with is you need to do your homework. Okay, you need to compare prices. There's this thing about people living with HIV, you know, it is very hard to get a life cover because it's very expensive. It depends on a number of factors, okay? For example, I'm 30, turning 31 in November, and then there are people who are 25, there are people who are 40, there are people who are 50 living with HIV. In terms of our premiums and in terms of our covers, we are not the same because of our age, in terms of our health, in terms of our lifestyle, okay? So I just want us to shy away from this thing, but it's relatively hard to cover people living with HIV. It depends on so many different factors. Oh, also including the fact that, are you on HIV treatment or are you not? Okay, so I wanted to talk about my own journey of, you know, taking a life cover a couple of years ago, and who did I take it with. This is not a sponsored video. Once again, this is just sharing from my own journey. So my life insurance and funeral cover, it's with the Sanlam Group. Okay, so how I came about to decide on an insurer, it was a lot because I did a lot of research, did like so many comparisons with so many other different insurers out there. I don't recall any insurer, guys, rejecting my application, to be very honest. It was actually the other way around, where I would compare, you know, their portfolios, and then I felt like the Sanlam Group was the best one for me. Okay, so I went online and I left a message on their like contact page. They ask you, what are you looking for? I'm looking for a life cover. Put in my contact details, and then about a couple of hours after that, they contacted me, and a very nice consultant, you know, once again asked for basic information, my lifestyle. Do I drink? Do I smoke? Do I do any extreme sports? Do I exercise? In terms of my work, do I travel a lot? Like, how much money do I want to be covered for? What do I want to be included? Things such as disability cover as part of the life cover. So in an event that you get into an accident, for example, and you get disabled, the insurance will pay out. Such things as if you had to be diagnosed with a disease, cancer, for example, to cover your medical costs, the insurance covers. Also, if you want to have a funeral cover as part of that life insurance, that is also an additional, you know, option that you may have. So after going all through that, they asked me, do you have any pre-existing conditions? I disclosed that I am HIV positive, and they said, okay, that is fine. And they quoted me, I have it here. Upon disclosing to them that I'm HIV positive, before they even contacted my doctor to provide a 6-month report, for them to evaluate my CD4 count, for them to evaluate my viral load, and any other, you know, condition or anything that the doctor has noted, you know, about me, before they even conducted their own medical tests, they did quote me, you know, more or less what I should be looking at. And for a 50,000 Rand funeral cover and just a few millions in terms of a life cover, they quoted me 154 Rand 90 cents. By the way, once again, it depends on my age, it depends on my lifestyle, it depends on pre-existing conditions. So please always consider that, and whether or not you're also on ARVs, on treatment. Okay, so after that, they sent now my doctor what is called the Personal Medical Advisor's Report on HIV/AIDS. So this is sent to my doctor. It has my particulars, and the doctor must basically fill out his window of when was the last date of a consultation, the date of a diagnosis, is the patient on antiretroviral treatment, when did they start, what is their CD4 count, viral load, current medication and dosage. Then also there are questions such as, was a CDC AIDS defining condition ever diagnosed? If yes, please provide details. Is or was there any indication of first-line antiretroviral treatment failure? Please provide more information. Is the patient compliant with the treatment? What is your overall impression of compliance? How many times per year does the patient report for follow-up visits, go for CD4 count and viral load tests? Is or has there been any evidence of the following: bone marrow suppression, kidney function failure? As I've said before when I was covering the ARVs, you know, my journey, it has been reported, it has been proven that long term there has been people that have suffered kidney failure as a result of ARVs. So that is why continuously when you're doing your yearly tests, it is very important that a doctor does a kidney, you know, test to make sure that your kidneys are still functioning well. And in a case where there's something that is seen that is worrisome, then it may be that he changes your dosage, your ARVs. Any liver failures or any other complications of antiretroviral, please provide details below. And then please supply all available medical reports, x-rays, results, CD4 count, viral load, CXR, and lung functions. Okay? So my doctor now had to provide all of this information to the insurer. And it was very efficient, man, guys. Literally, after filling out that thing, the insurer, organized for a courier to go and pick the reports up. And then after now evaluating all of that, and after they'd made arrangements for a nurse to come to my house and do medical tests, now the cover was revised. Okay, you would remember that I said it was 154 rand 90 cents per month. So after they had taken now all of this information into consideration, they said that they're going to send it to their underwriters. Their underwriters came back and said they're revising now my cover from 154 rand 90 cents to 188 rand 63 cents. So it death for a few millions will be 162 rand 50 cents. An increase from 130 rand to now 162 rand, so about 30 rand increase. Okay, the monthly plan charge still remains the same. And then in terms of EDF I think was 4 rand. Now it was around about 6 rand 13 cents. Okay, so in total from 154 rand to 188 rand 63 cents. In addition to this, they also gave me an illustrative total monthly payment for the plan. So over a 20-year period, what is the increase on my cover in terms of what I pay, and also in terms of like how the cover increases in its value. So on year 1, for example, I'll pay, as I said, 189 rand. Year 2 it increases to about 201 rand, and then by year 20, for the more or less the same cover, it's at about 894 rand. Okay, obviously that increase is also accompanied by the value. So for example, if 50,000 rand funeral cover for year 1 is not the same as year 20, and similarly to the life cover on year 1 is not the life cover that I'll get on year 20. So those are the things that I needed to evaluate. Now I could argue definitely, but why are they increasing it, by 30 rand, particularly because I'm living with HIV. As they've seen over my record, I'm quite healthy, I'm on my treatment, and compared to other diseases, the HIV is fairly manageable. But then I had to be fair that there's a level of risk that the insurer is taking. Okay, I mean, things change. Okay, Tina, we are at risk of so many opportunistic diseases. I'm not saying, Bana, it is going to happen, but once again, it's the risk, Yamana, that the insurer needs to think about. There's a video that I want to do titled HIV and cervical cancer, particularly when it comes to women. There's ETB that constantly needs to be watched when it comes to HIV. There's diabetes that constantly needs to be watched when it comes to HIV. So isn't there Zinjalo where I needed to be fair, and then like let's say in 5 years to come, God forbid, I decide, but okay, no, I'm going to stop taking my ARVs. Yeah, man. So it's those things that I just needed to think about, and the sort of risk that the insurer is basically taking. And in comparison, once again, to what other insurers are offering, Usanlam in this case offered a better deal, and that's why I went along with them. So let us talk about now, in an event that you pass away, and what does the insurer look at? So we've already seen, from our own experiences, when it's time to pay out, the insurer tends to try to dig deep. Okay, there's one thing that I saw now when I was looking at my contract. So claim, the condition of a claim are set out in the general plan provisions. Okay, so in order for you to claim, these are the things that you need to provide: a certified copy of death certificate of the deceased, a form BI 1663 issued by the doctor who certified the death, a certified copy of the identity document of the deceased, the death claim form, the declaration by the South African Police Services if the cause of death is unnatural or unknown, a certified copy of the identity document of the claimant requesting the payout. And then in certain cases, we may also require the following: a letter stating who the beneficiary is or who has been appointed as a beneficiary, the name of the guardian or trust and birth certificate of the beneficiary if the plan holder is deceased and the beneficiary is a minor, and a medical certificate. So rest assured, guys, insurers are going to look at those medical records, okay? When you were taking insurance, kaloku, you said you were on treatment, and your doctor also said you were on treatment. Along the lines, you defaulted, okay? There are so many things that the insurer takes into consideration, especially at a claim stage. Now that I'm talking about this, you will remember a situation where it went on social media and one particular insurer was under fire for not wanting to pay out a certain claim because batibana, although the person did not die from this particular condition that the person did not disclose to the insurer, but it was his responsibility to disclose that he had this particular condition because it would have affected his claim. I think he had diabetes, and apparently it was very high and it was abnormal, and this person did not disclose to the insurer. And he did not die of diabetes. He actually passed away, I think, from a hijacking, if I'm not mistaken. And insurer was like, no, we're not going to pay because when you were taking out insurance, you should have disclosed that you had a pre-existing condition. Along the way, or disclose that you have this condition to see if it is going to affect your portfolio or your cover. So those are the things that you just need to be aware of. Do not be afraid to take out, because I know a lot of people that come to me continue to say, Nozi, I can't find an insurer that covers people living with HIV. No, guys, like the top insurers, all of them, they cover abantu that are living with HIV. It's just going to depend like on so many different factors. As I've said, your age, your lifestyle, whether you're on treatment or not, what cover do you want, at what premium, and all of those things. But I would say, once again, do as much information as possible and compare all those prices, because over time, over the years, insurers have made it a point to be very much competitive, because they cannot give an excuse about HIV is like a risk, is not manageable, they're taking a high risk. No, in comparison actually to many other diseases such as cancer, HIV is the least of their problems. So once again, do your homework, go out there. I've shared my journey, and with the hope that it has assisted you. So until next time, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Bye.